It is 1:25 Thursday 2024. Alright, my friends, I found this article. CBS New York advocates urge Adams administration to stop evicting asylum seekers from New York City shelters. Eric Adams is the current New York Democrat mayor. He defeated Curtis Sliwa. Should have voted for Curtis, but I digress. Story by Lisa Rosner, Rosner. Rosner? Anyway, in summary, what is this article talking about? Well, I just want to point out a few things. This article focuses on an individual named Reyna Alvarez, Lavarez. Alvarez. Anyway, it goes on to say, Alvarez, a single mother of 4, said she came here to escape violence in Venezuela. Through a translator, she said moving out of the shelter after 60 days caused extra stress while she looks for work. Alright, so my opinion. Alright, here's the deal. It's unrealistic, in my opinion, for the migrants, the newcomers, the asylum seekers, call them whatever you wish. In my opinion, it is unrealistic for them to come to New York City expecting New York City to shelter them, give them food, give them goodies, and take care of them, and take care of all of their personal needs. It is unrealistic. Someone should have told Alvarez prior to coming to New York City from Venezuela, someone should have said to her, hey, listen, your expectations are unrealistic. Because I'm getting discombobulated, you guys. Because the reality is this. New York City, in my opinion, is going to go bankrupt. And in my opinion, in the future, New York City will have to end up filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy or something. I truly believe the Migrant Crisis is going to bankrupt New York City for the next 20 years. That's my prediction, that's my forecast, based on my opinion. I think this Migrant Crisis has the potential to bankrupt New York City. Period. And like she goes on to say, in the article goes on to say, she hopes to be able to stay past the 60 days because she needs time to look for work. But here's the thing. We don't know anything about this lady. We don't know anything about the migrants. We don't know anything. We don't know much about the asylum seekers. We don't know what skills they have, what education they have, what degree of we don't have a work resume to go on. So what is Alvarez going to be doing? What type of work can she do? And in reality is the market, the New York City market, is not in demand. They don't demand her qualifications. So her qualifications are not in demand. Where are you gonna put her? You're gonna put her in to work in the hospitals as a nurse aide, as a nurse, as a medical doctor, as a dental hygienist. What can she do? I don't believe there is a demand for her type of work. I don't think there is a demand for the migrants. Nobody asked them to come. New York City didn't say, "Hey, we need migrants. We need to flood the New York City market with all of these excess applicants." There's literally no demand. So what can she do? Work in the hotels for minimum wage? How is Alvarez going to raise 4 children all by herself? She's a single mother. How is she going to raise 4 children in New York City, where the rent is like $2,500? how is she going to raise 4 kids on a minimum wage? We don't know what her qualifications are. We know nothing about her. And it's not just her. It's everybody, all of the migrants. What can they do? It's nice that she says she wants to look for work, but what kind of work? Doing what? Selling cars? Selling insurance? What? Being a housemaid? I don't know. How are you going to pay your rent and take care of 4 children on a minimum wage salary? What does she expect? That's the thing. The migrants, in my opinion, are under a false assumption. They are under the impression that if they just come to New York City, obviously somebody back home is telling them, hey, if you come to America, you're going to get all the goodies. If you come to New York City, they're going to take care of you. But New York City's broke. They have no money. What are they going to do? They're going to raise taxes. They're going to raise property taxes. They're going to raise income tax, city taxes in order to pay for the migrants stay in shelters and in hotels. Where are they going to get the money? What are they going to do? Sell municipal bonds? I predict New York City's going to go bankrupt and have to file for bankruptcy protection. Because their creditors are going to say, hey, New York City, you owe us money, you're in debt, and you can't pay us back. So New York City might have to file for bankruptcy protection. You know, and it goes on and on. Like, what did you expect us to do? You know, what do you want us to do? We have no money. We can't take care of you. We can't even take care of our own New York City American citizen homeless folk. Look, if you doubt me, come to New York City. You'll see tons of like homeless New Yorkers. I'm talking citizens. I'm talking American citizens. American naturally born American citizens who are homeless in New York City. And we don't even have the space to take care of them. So how are we going to take care of Alvarez and her 4 kids? When we don't when we can't even take care of our own New York City resident homeless folk. Look, if you doubt me, go into the subways. You will see tons of homeless people living in the subways, sleeping in the subways at 2 a.m. in the morning. And those are legal American citizens. Prior to the influx of the asylum seekers, prior to the migrants, you can go down to the New York City subway system and you will find a bunch of homeless people sleeping and living in the subway at 2 a.m. There's no shelter space for them because New York City has very limited resources. And like people like Alvarez and the migrants and all of these influx of asylum seekers, I mean, you guys better like wake up and realize that we ain't got no space for you and we ain't got no money for you. Right? And then I found this article, 23 hours from Newsweek. Unemployment rate rise rings alarm bells over U.S. economy. And it says here in summary, the rising unemployment rate in the U.S. is ringing alarm bells over the state of economy, with some economists suggesting a potential risk of recession, all right? It says here, the rise in unemployment rates in the United States has been a cause for concern, according to a report by the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and the national average unemployment rates remained unchanged at 3.7%, which means that it didn't move. However, state-level unemployment rates have risen in nearly a third of the country. This has led some economists to suggest that the U.S. economy might be at risk of entering a recession. Despite the addition of 216,000 jobs in December, 15 states saw their unemployment rates climb compared to only 3 the month before. So essentially, yeah, I mean, the unemployment numbers are unchanged. The economy could possibly be in a recession. And then we have this migrant crisis telling us that, oh, we come here to work. What work? What work? So I go back to the migrant crisis. These migrants, these asylum seekers need to understand that there is technically no demand for their qualifications. The New York City economy is not demanding that, look, you heard what I said. There is no demand for the asylum seekers. The city's not saying, hey, we need migrants to come to New York City and, fulfill these jobs. There are no job openings for these migrants. All New York City is doing is that for the next 20 years or so, moving forward, New York City is going to become a poorer and poorer city. The migrants, the poor migrants, they're just adding to a future event in which New York City eventually becomes broke, if not already. You can't have a productive city on the backs of poor people, right? So, yeah, what does Alvarez expect? What is she looking to do? Just saying, I'm looking for a job when the job numbers don't support. There's no support for her qualifications. I mean, realistically speaking, come on. 2 weeks ago, we reported on about 40 families, including a pregnant woman, getting evicted from the Row Hotel near Times Square. Well, there you go again. Yeah, 40 migrant families. They all want a job initially, and essentially they're saying we're coming here for work, but there's no demand for their criteria. There's no demand for their qualifications or lack thereof. The job market in New York City is very, very tight, and the specifications for getting a job is very, very tight. Right? You gotta have certain qualifications, certain skill sets, certain degrees in order to make it in a city like New York City, where rent is like $2,500 for a little tiny apartment with maybe one bedroom or something. You're not gonna raise a family on minimum wage with 4 kids. It's my opinion. Most likely what's going to happen is eventually when the asylum seekers are granted citizenship, they're going to be able to qualify for social services, like welfare, food stamps, right? Section 8. Because otherwise, they're not going to make it on their own. And that's my take on it. I predict in the near future, like I had been saying, New York City is going to go broke. It's going to be on the verge of a collapse. They might default on their bonds. They might default. They won't be able to pay their creditors, and they're going to come knocking at the door and say, hey, New York City, you guys owe us money. Well, we don't have the money. And New York City is going to file for bankruptcy protection. I predict this is the future of New York City. The influx of poor people into New York City who depend on resources is going to eventually bankrupt New York. So in my opinion, if you live in New York City, if you live in the 5 boroughs, in my opinion, I think moving forward, you should move out and go find a better life elsewhere. Because as long as you live in New York City, you're gonna be in a world of hurt. Because this thing is not sustainable. In closing, like I said, you should have voted for Curtis, but nope, you went with Eric Adams. Should have voted for Curtis, maybe we would have had a fighting chance. But nope, you wanted Eric Adams. Should have voted for Curtis.